Number two, understand progressions, regressions, right? And then how can you communicate that well to a client?
10 times better than just reading the textbook.
10 times better. His words, not mine.
Yep.
Howdy, y'all. It's your favorite trainer with a belt buckle here with Jonah out of Kentucky. We're going to do a little walk and talk. Mr. Jonah.
Yes.
How'd you come across Show Up?
Well, I was studying for the NASM, reading the textbook, and after a while, I was like, a lot of this information isn't going to be practical. And so my goal was to pass the test, which is, if you've taken a high school class, it's like, what's the quickest way I can figure out how to fill in these bubbles, and what is the correct way to answer these questions, not actually figuring out the information that I'm going to need.
Smart man.
So I looked on YouTube, and there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of people that are trying to help people pass the test, not exactly helping them become personal trainers. So when I found Show Up Fitness, it was a mix between those two. It was let's help you pass the test, but then after that, let's actually get you qualified and not just certified.
Love it. I was just talking to a kid before class today. We're here in Los Angeles, and so he's been 6 months on the textbook. Textbook isn't going to teach you how to become a trainer. So far, 1 week, you've been 1 week and 1 day. You've been in the in-person, getting your Show Up Fitness CPT. 2 months, compare it to the NASM textbook. Which one's superior? I'm not paying him either. Maybe I should, though. Let's see what he says.
Well, the textbook is, it's a lot of information. It's a lot of words, and not a lot of hands-on experience. So,
is there any?
There's absolutely none. There's absolutely none, and you can't ask questions, and it's hard when you're reading that textbook and you're kind of answering those quizzes or whatever, and you're kind of seeing the patterns that they throw at you for answering the quizzes. You start to get this idea that, well, this is just all the information I need. But when you go into an in-person internship like Show Up Fitness, you start to, your mind kind of clears. It opens up, and you start thinking about, okay, well, if I have a client that is like this, or why is this exercise better than this one? Why do I put this at the beginning of a workout instead of the end? Those questions actually help you, and you become better from that. So,
and I love it.
Weekend, it's been 10 times better than just reading the textbook.
10 times better. His words, not mine. But he said something that was pretty neat before. He said one of the things I like about it a lot was the ability to ask questions to your mentors. So you have Brock, you have Ivan, you have access to myself as well. And you get to ask the why. So why did you do that for this program? What will be some of the biggest takeaways so far in the first week that you've learned that really are going to allow you to apply this as he goes and starts working at Equinox?
Well, it's a lot of like the basic knowledge of like anatomy, the basic building blocks of your programming, but it's also the confidence in explaining why those things are the correct way to do it. But I would say the biggest takeaway is just that confidence that you get from being able to bounce ideas off of your fellow students, your mentors, and just getting to practice it.
There's a scary statistic that's out there. Besides 90% of textbook trainers quit in the first year. Even worse is when you go to corporate gyms like an Equinox, Lifetime Crunch, they settle and accept 20 to 30% closing rate for the assessment.
Yep.
I think that's exactly why, because they lack confidence. You go in with a textbook certification, and now you're thrown to the sharks. Do you have that confidence? And you may have a false sense of confidence because you've been working out for 10, 15 years. I get people all the time, I just need to pass this. I already know how to work out. You think you do until you work with Betsy, the 40-year-old secretary, and she has a jacked up knee, and you can't just tell her to back squat. Right. You can't just tell her to do more, push through the pain. You got to be able to regress. And if you don't understand programming, you're not going to know how to help that person in front of you. Your confidence is going to be low. And so when we look at interviewing for gyms like Equinox, and you're currently at the one in Studio City, correct?
Yep.
And he's at the front desk. He's going to be working there probably within 4 weeks. What are some things that you've noticed? Because you have a different perspective. A lot of trainers have probably already come through there. You just opened up though, right?
We did. We opened up in October 6th.
We've already
had about I want to say 3 or 4 trainers that have started there and they're now gone.
Why do you think that is?
Well, they found something better for them. And really what that tells me is that they either weren't willing, they didn't have enough of a why they were personal training. They just thought maybe it was a good gig to have. And maybe they were just not confident enough to sell those packages. Or
it's funny because if you talk to trainers who don't make it in gyms, it's the same thing. I don't want to work for Equinox. They take all my money. I'm doing all the work. You aren't doing shit. What's the name on your back of your shirt? People are not going to that gym for you. They're going there for the brand, the multi-million-dollar facility, the eucalyptic towels, the service. And so what it is you are lying to yourself thinking that, oh, it's them, but it's you. You don't have that accountability, that responsibility to go, you know what, shit, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. What's up, guys? How we doing?
hey, what's up, guys?
Getting that little lap in before class. I love it. Look at that. Showing up. That's how you do it. You don't have that self-responsibility to learn anatomy, to learn programming. You don't know how to hold yourself on a professional level because you're working with professionals. What would you say the majority of the members are there?
I mean, they're making some money, so they can afford it. And if you're not showing the value of your training, then their only excuse to you is just, yeah, it's just not worth it. Doesn't seem worth it to me. And even if they're making that much money, if you're not providing that value, if you don't know what you're talking about, if you're not actually assessing their goals and actually wanting to help them, then I mean that sounds like an easy way for you to just try to help them out as best as you can. But if you can't show your value, then yeah, of course they're just gonna find someone else, or they're just gonna stop training altogether.
You're gonna get those excuses. People, I don't have enough money. It's bullshit. They do. You didn't show the value.
Yep.
And when you're scaring people into movement, or you're not looking the part, you can't have a conversation and relate to someone. They're not gonna sign up with you. Now we have classes that we offer, part of the online and in-person CPT program, where we have Equinox instructors come on. And I'm gonna piece a couple of these at the end, where we were interviewing Dean. He's a T-Rex trainer he was at Berkeley, now he's in San Francisco. And he's going over some of the really important things that you need to have when you do interview. And one of those things that he said was, you need to know your why. And that's exactly what we just heard, was you got to know why you're there. What are some questions you have for me about anything going through that interview process at Equinox? Now you're unique because you already have your foot in that door.
Yeah.
Is there anything going through your mind like, how should I do this? Or what about that? Anything at all?
I mean, I think what I would ask is, how can you not, sabotage your other fellow trainers that maybe have a little bit more seniority to you, because you're brand new, you're coming in, and you're hungry. You want to be there from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. You want to be there building rapport. How do you not step on anyone's toes? How do you not annoy some of those members that might see you there? I mean, not annoying them, but how do you subtly kind of build that rapport?
I love that. Now there's a story about, I forget who it was in the NBA. It was actually college. I love college basketball. And there's a senior on the team who would get to practice every day at 5 a.m. and shoot free throws. A freshman came in and he heard about that, and he started coming in at 4 a.m. So that senior had two options. He could keep on doing what he's doing, or he can show up and let him know that this is his team. So if someone's showing you up, you get to choose. I was at Equinox in Westlake the other day, 5 a.m., no one's there. I guarantee you, and I've talked to management there, trainers are struggling. They cannot fill their book of business. I look around, I see people on treadmills. I see people taking the classes. There's opportunities there. Get your ass there at 5 a.m. The work ethic date sucks. We want everything handed to us. I want a perfect schedule and 30 hours a week and be a T-Rex by tomorrow. You got to earn your stripes. So when you go in there, use that as a fun competition. I'm going to be the best here. And if the trainers have a problem with that, fuck them. They got two options. They can either help you, or they can look at you and they're like, oh, this person's showing me up.
Yeah.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, because at the end of the day, if I come to you and I say, hey, I want to get a bigger bench, you're not going to say, go work with that trainer. You are competent in your skills to help people with that. So don't worry about stepping on other people's toes. And you're a smart kid. You're not going to be a dick. He's not going to steal clients.
You can even give them advice too. And I've given trainers at Equinox advice, like get into those classes. 60% of those members aren't going to be on the floor ever. They're just going to take classes. And a lot of them are just like, nah, I don't really want to take the classes. It's not really my style. I'm like, well, you're missing 60% of your potential business. So, I mean, I'm giving you that advice, but I'm actually going to do that, when I start training. So, hopefully I'll build my business a little bit quicker than they will.
Absolutely. He's going to crush it. Can't wait to give you guys updates. Start with professionalism. Look in the part. When you show up on time. Don't use traffic as an excuse. You dress the part. You give a good handshake. You smile and rock it. Let us help you with your resume. If you want to become a successful personal trainer, just got to show up.
I actually have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So I have my in-person interview with Equinox tomorrow. So I kind of just wanted to know if you have any tips on the right questions to ask or what I should really prepare myself for tomorrow, because you already went through it. So if there's any insider tips that I can get.
So my big thing with that is one, understand why are you a coach? What gives this meaning to you? Why do you care? What makes you care about people? Because we all care about people, right? That at the end of the day, that's why we want to do this. But why is it that you care? What makes you want to help? What was that driving factor that led you to believe that you want to help people, right? For me, that was I had a lot of lower back pain playing baseball, right? And then finally I started strength training and it actually started getting better. And I started doing mobility training. I started moving better. And that's when I started feeling better and getting better, right? So I wanted to tie that in. I wanted to use strength training as a vehicle to help people, right? Get out of pain to some extent. So if you understand that why, right, you understand why you're in this, why you want to help people, because we all want to help people, but why, right? So really understand that what's going to keep you going as a coach, because it's really easy to fizzle out within the first 12 months. Number two, understand progressions, regressions, right? And then how can you communicate that well to a client, right? How can you communicate a person that, hey, you're at this level right now, but we're going to get you going and get you better from here. Right? We're going to start here, but we're going to go up, right? How can you communicate that well enough so that you can communicate both regressions, progressions, but also just their progress throughout the entire program as well. And then number three, what have you done for yourself, right? How have you yourself improved yourself through strength training, through health, through fitness, whatever that is, right? What's your story? And then how does that story, again, so it kind of ties back into the first one. It's how does your story tie back into the first one? Right.
And the guy who interviewed me on the phone. He gave me some insider tips and he was saying, make sure you know a lot about the brand, make sure you know how to do sales pitch, and a basic programming. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask you this, but what did it look like for you? When you had your interview, what did they expect?
Yeah. So mine was a little different because I got in literally right after COVID ended. I got March 2021. That's when Equinox opened up and I got hired in April 2021. So it was a little bit different because they only had 5 trainers at the time. So as I've seen, this is what I've been helping other trainers develop through. Yeah, they've been asking the sale at the end of it, right? What are the common objections that you'll hear
about sales?
Yeah, for sales.
Expensive, they can't afford it.
Yep, right. Money.
Or I don't have time.
Yep, time, right? That's another big one, right? So do you have confidence in yourself enough to understand, look, I know you have a very busy life and I know this is a new change. This is something else you're adding to your already busy life. How do you rebuttal that, right? Can you get creative, right? For the costs and right? How do you rebuttal with it? It's look, so my rebuttal for costs, right, is always, look, I don't want to hold you here forever, but I do want better for you, right? I want this to be an investment in yourself, right? Let's take these 3 months, right? Learn as much as you possibly can, right? That's what I want you to do. I want you to learn how to structure your own workouts. I want you to know how to drive the right intensity. I want you to know how to boom, 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 right? Whatever you want them to be able to do on their own, talk about it, right? I want you to be able to do this on yourself. So let's invest in yourself now, so you don't have to invest in yourself in the costs of medical expenses in the future.
I guess part of it is when people are in the gym, they're there because they want to change something about their life. So we can ask, oh, I see, what workouts have you done before? Or what if you tried, like, oh, Orange Theory, has that worked for you? And they're like, oh, no. And then that's, I guess, where you can kind of give in your sales pitch and be like, well, that's what I'm here for, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like yes and no. Like that's because typically you're talking about that already, right? So like you already know what they've done in the past, right? When leading up to that point. So now it's like, hey, you've been doing X, Y, and Z. How's it going? Not great, right? Cool. Yeah. So I want to show you something different. I want to show you something that works, right? And again, I want to teach you, right? How are we going to make this better for you, right? How are we going to make it so that you can create results on your own, right? So I want you to invest in yourself now, so that, again, like I said, you can take yourself leaps and bounds in the future, right? I'm just trying to be here to create the foundation for you, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one way, is like an investment cost, right? Like look at the history, understand what they've been doing in the past, right? Blah, 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 right? Understand like what have they done? What has that led them to, right? Time's always a tough one, right? But I mean, that's where you ask them, like, hey, what are you doing throughout your day? Are you watching Netflix for 2 hours at night every night? You can get in the gym, right? Like there's different things you can ask them about, and understanding how they're using their time specifically, right? That's how you can do it, right? Babe, I work all day. I can't get out. Hey, what does your lunch look like? Right? Can you get out an hour of lunch? Boom, knock it out. Get a quick lunch in, get out of here, right? What does that look like to you, right? So figuring out how they manage their time, right? That's the rebuttal for time typically.